Hi, you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm getting over a cold. This is a quick starter tutorial that I want you to work along with me on while learning how to do color match. Color match is tremendously powerful, as you'll see here, but it does take a lot of getting used to, and so I thought I'd do a multi-step tutorial series on how to do it. So go ahead and grab the red and blue ball image from your tutorials folder and drop it into UForge and come back to me. Your screen should look like this. Make sure you have edit image on. Make sure everything's set as normal with your standard luminance, and then whatever your default colors are. They may not be grayscale. It doesn't matter. Um, so for this, we are going to work on how to set up your sliders for color match. And the first thing I want to do is go through what you might do normally without color match. So the first thing you might do is you might say, well, let me grab a blue. I'm going to grab this Bamboo Basic Blue, and I'm just going to drop it over this dark gray because I know that the blue in general in luminance space is lower. We'll drop it there. Now you can see that we get blue here, but we also get blue into the darker red, which is part of the issues that we have in general with how this HueForge works. But let's put this Bamboo Basic Red up here. And now we have a red and blue ball, right? But it isn't the red and blue that we're used to or that we want because these colors are all over the place. Now, I could go to color matte or color aware. And because they're roughly in the right place, they will be more in the right place on the ball. But it's still kind of a mess. It doesn't look good. We need to bring in a black. We need to bring in a white. We'd have a whole bunch of stuff to do. This ball is an example. You can do this with color aware. But I want to show you how to move from this into more complicated things and the benefits of color match. So let's go into color match. Now, instantly you should notice that this looks significantly better. The white background is white. The blue is only in the blue areas. The red is only in the red areas, except for that little area of this white up here, which is really in the red. You can tell it's tall and in the red area rather than being part of the blue and being a light blue. Um, but you can see that unlike other modes, unlike color aware and color pop that don't really do anything for you, color match has done something for me. You'll also see now that there are two cores in the middle, and they've been named. This is the color core here, and this is the mesh core. Now, what is the difference? Well, the color core sets your colors for your final print. It's what the describe text gets populated off of, and it is a completely normal color core like you're used to. Everything's the same. The mesh core, on the other hand, controls how your mesh is built. So instead of, because color match, you move the colors and it adjusts the mesh. In color, because of that, you sometimes want to be able to adjust the mesh separately and then adjust your colors. And oftentimes you need to put in colors you don't have to make the mesh match nicely. And then you can use colors you do have to still get a really nice match. So what are our major issues here? Our biggest issue is certainly that the blue does not have any shiny blue in it. It doesn't have any of this lighter color into it. Now, there's two things we can do. First, and as you see, as I move this, you'll see that the mesh actually adjusts. If I switch back over, this button here lets you switch between the two meshes. This will move in the final version, but currently this is where it is. And then so moving this allows me to change. It doesn't change much about what the ball looks like, just a little bit, but it is moving the layers of this mesh. Let me show you. So you can see here that the mesh is very short, and as I move this up, it gets a bit taller. And actually the red spikes kind of grow up on top of that blue. Blue doesn't move much because we hit the blue color we need down pretty low. But the red gets moved up. So how do we fix this? Well, there's two things we can do. The easiest, holding down control, we can click on this slider here, and we can drop it in somewhere around here. Yeah, there we go. And we now have enough of a white, this white here blends the blue up enough to get rid of most of the red. Now we have this blue shiny patch. There's a little bit of red here, but actually if you look at the image, and by the way, you can now zoom in on the image, that patch is like a brownish red, so we kind of expect that. Let's look here. This actually fixes a lot of our problems. We still have this issue here, and the issue here is that this brownish color is currently matching to that light red color more than to anything else. My personal favorite is to control click on the image. Just like we control clicked on the slider here to move the color, we can control click on the image and move a color over into our mesh core. Now this color remove you see has a different shaped flag. This is the standard slider flag for a filament. This is the slider flag for an image color. And we do that because we want you to know when a slider has a real filament that actually exists in your library and when the slider does not. So here we have a slider that is a fake color, effectively. It's a color straight from the image, but you see it's mostly fixed our issue. Now we can adjust how tall we wanted it. We could potentially bring in another one just to get a more sophisticated blend. We have some options here, but this actually solves pretty much all of our problems. And now we have just a few issues with these white edges here on here, and that's actually really due to the mesh. So here's an issue where we might want to say, okay, maybe the mesh doesn't need to be as tall as it is. Maybe the white can be a little bit shorter if we bring this white down here as well. Just some options here. It does look like we need this white. If we had a stronger white, it could be fewer layers. It would cause less of these issues. So we have some adjustments we can make here, but in general, we've got the ball into a pretty good shape. Now, the ball's into a pretty good shape. It looks pretty much like we want it to look like. It looks pretty much like the picture, but we did use a couple of filaments that don't exist, and we no longer match, right? These don't match anymore. So let's flip back over to our mesh core, or color core, sorry. Easiest thing to do here is just bring this slider down here, bring this here. We also know that this is the same white we use, so we'll just control click this down over here as well. Okay, we're most of the way there. In fact, we could argue that we're fine. Like this shadowy area looks fine. We really don't need it to be brown. But if you do want it to be brown, we can right click on the image and find closest filament, or we can right click on one of these and say find closest filament. And then I'm going to go for a low TD filament that's going to get pretty good saturation quickly. This Overture Brown, for instance, here. And then we have our ball. Okay. So this was an example first tutorial, just two colors, a simple subject, just learning how color match works versus the other modes. And then the next video will be just adding a third color, a simple step up, adding a third color, followed by blending up into colors that you wouldn't normally blend up into. So let me know what you think of this video and if this is on the right path for color match, or if you would like to see